one whenever and wherever you want to talk sports.
Now it's time for Monty in the Morning.
Hey, yo, man. It is the Monty Show. Tuesday, June 15th. I'm telling you right now.
It's going to be one of them shows.
You're going to be lit. It is Tuesday, June 15th, 2021. And the Utah Jazz are in trouble. And Utah Jazz fans are losing their ever-loving minds. Let's get into it right here on the show. First thing you need to do is go ahead and hit subscribe and give us a thumbs up because we are giving away an Xbox Series S. When we get to 1,500 subs. Don't be a simp and say subs.
Don't be a simp.
When we get to 1,500 subscribers on this here program, we will again give away an Xbox Series S.
I want more.
Yeah, there was far more demand for the Series S than there was for the PS5, which I'm a little surprised about.
Mm-hmm.
But we've given away a PS4 to Brandon Whitesides. We gave away a PS5 to Shar in the Philippines.
Mm-hmm.
We gave away a Xbox Series S to, I can't remember.
Yeah, I remember. That was too long ago.
But we've given away a bunch of stuff. Saw Robbie Haskell last night. Him and his lovely wife, Mrs. Hasro, hooked him up with a TV and a year of Disney Plus streaming. We hook you up on this show. Hit subscribe at 1,500 subscribers. We are going to give you an Xbox Series X right here on the program. And all you have to do is tag The Monty Show and SLC Supercars on Twitter or Instagram with a photo showing that you're subscribed to the channel. Do that and you're in. The Utah Jazz lose, and it was ugly last night. Lot of concern amongst Jazz fans, and there should be. Having said that, let me just say right off the get, the Jazz are going to win this series. It's always been a long series. We told you from the jump that this is when it was going to be 6 or 7. The Jazz are coming back to the Vivint to get healthy, and they will. They will win Game 5. They will go to LA, and they will probably lose Game 6. They will come home, and they will win Game 7. That's the way that we've always felt this series was going to go. But in order for that to happen, some things have got to change. And one of the things I want to talk about this morning, and I know that this may seem like shock jock radio.
Oh, my God.
Donovan Mitchell is supposedly having some unbelievable performance in the playoffs. Setting scoring records, 30 and 40 and your mom, like he's doing everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
The problem is he's got as many assists as he does turnovers, and they lose. And on a night when you had a guy like Joe Ingles and Bojan Bogdanovic knocking down their threes, it is senseless that Donovan Mitchell is driving into the paint and trying to go up against 2-3 guys, turning the ball over, allowing the Clippers to get out on the break. Jake, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me the way Donovan Mitchell is playing right now, and I actually think his aggressiveness is hurting the Utah Jazz.
Yeah, I just don't understand why he went away from what he's done all year long. I mean, it's not as though all year long he wasn't aggressive, but now it just seems like he's just running into the brick wall every single time. Like it used to be, hey, if they're going to come and double me, like even in Game 1 we saw it. The Clippers doubled him and he moved the ball, and it was like he was welcoming the double team because he knew that they were going to that there would be another guy open, and that guy is usually going to be Joe Ingles or Bojan Bogdanovic. And so, with that said, those guys are going to knock down shots. And so it really surprises me that right now Donovan is going about it this way. And yes, he is scoring, but I don't think that Jazz fans particularly give a damn about scoring records. They would like to win a championship this year. It's their first chance in how long to actually make an NBA Finals appearance. And right now, Donovan is, I don't know if we want to just call it playing bad or if you want to say not playing winning basketball, like however you want to word that. The point is that he's turning it over. He's not putting his teammates in a position to succeed. And at the end of the day, those turnovers and that lack of distribution puts the Clippers in a much better position to go out and win the game. I think that Donovan has to understand his role and how impactful he is, both negatively and positively. You know, it's one of the great things that we as basketball fans have enjoyed about LeBron for all of these years now, right? LeBron's maturation process was, hey, I came into the league and I'm going to dominate you whether you want me to or not. And I'm going to do that by scoring and just simply out basketballing you individually. Then it turned into, hey, I can still do that, but now I understand to win a championship, I've got to move the ball. I've got to play team basketball. And I think we're seeing Donovan kind of go through that a little bit right now. And my hope is that him and Quinn watch the game tape and they say, okay, we got to stop doing this. We have to move the ball. We have to get our guys in better position. And once again, last night, to that end, we did not see the ball moving very much. It was probably 5 or 6 possessions where they really got the Clippers to start running around. So I totally agree with you. I think that this Donovan hero ball stuff has got to stop like as soon as possible.
I think it's a huge problem. And I think we're going to go back in time. And when we look back on this series in the history of the NBA, 30 points and 45 for 45. God, no.
My fucking ass.
And I'm telling you, you can't have as many assists as you have turnovers. And it's not all on Donovan. Rudy Gobert has been an absolute zero offensively in this series. How the Jazz lost last night? Well, they got out-rebounded badly. That's not on the officials, and there was a big argument on Twitter last night that the Clippers were getting all the calls and the officials want to see a long game, and you got out-rebounded. You shot really poorly for long stretches of the game. You played a lot of hero ball. You didn't move the ball. I don't know that we ever saw a pure rotation of the basketball from the Utah Jazz. Jordan Clarkson and the Utah Jazz bench were non-existent, and it was a night where the LA Clippers didn't play their best, but this is as well as they've played in this series. And the thing that really scares you, if you're the Utah Jazz, and again, I don't think the Jazz are going to lose this series. I think they win in 7. I just feel like the LA Clippers are going to have a real tough time coming to Utah and winning. I feel like that's the edge that the Jazz have here. But the thing that really scares you is there is a significant gap in athleticism between the Clippers and the Jazz. And that Kawhi Leonard dunk was spectacular. Great finish at the rim. The thing that worries you isn't that he dunked on Derek Favors, is he easily went around your best on-ball defender in Royce O'Neal. And routinely last night, the guys that you're counting on to be elite defenders, Rudy Gobert, Royce O'Neal, got beaten and beaten badly. And again, we saw a situation where Rudy Gobert lost his cool, drew a technical foul. You're seeing situations where guys are committing obvious fouls and barking at the officials, which means they're not focused on the game. And maybe it's because you're getting torched, you're down 25 in the second half. Maybe that's the case. I understand it. But let's also not forget that you lost your focus, and late in the fourth quarter, you were only down 10 points. With Kawhi Leonard sitting on the bench, you were down 10 points. Well, what happens if you had composed yourself a little bit better in the second and third quarter? Maybe you're not down 10, maybe you're down 7 or 8, and now it's a completely different game. I don't know. I think composure and athleticism are two of the things that the Utah Jazz are really lacking here, Jake.
Yeah, well, and I don't think you can have it both ways. If you're let's just use Rudy as an example. You can't be the guy that doesn't show up and then also is constantly complaining to the officials. I mean, there was one call, I think it was in the third quarter, where he straight up pushes the guy out of bounds. Marcus Morris pushes him into the crowd, fully extends his arms. The official is standing right there, probably 5 feet away, watching all this unfold, blows the whistle because it's an obvious foul, and then Rudy is just going after the guy, is going after the official, and it's like, dude, like, what are you complaining about? You pushed somebody into the stands, you know, and so that's why I say this Jazz team, there's a couple of things at play here that I think are really hurting their composure, and it's so funny. Quinn even talked about this in the in-game interview that the coaches do, standing on the court. He literally said our offense is really disjointed right now. We have no composure. We're not playing together. So a couple of things I think are going into that are, one, this Jazz team knows that Donovan Mitchell is probably 70% on that ankle. Last night was not impressed with where Donovan was with that ankle. It felt like at times he was kind of favoring it. It felt like at times he lost his explosion, but then he got it back, and so it was kind of this ebb and flow thing. So Donovan's working with some stuff. This Mike Conley situation, that I guarantee you all those guys know when he's coming back. We don't know, obviously, when he's coming back, but you said something yesterday on Twitter about the fact that this has to be like a grade 2 or higher like strain of his hamstring.
Because if it's the Jazz continue to call this hamstring injury from Mike Conley a mild hamstring injury. That is 7 to 10 days on a grade 1. When you look at a grade 2, that means, by the way, when you hear hamstring strain or grade 1, grade 2, we're talking about tears of the hamstring. So he's dealing with a hamstring tear. Usually it's, think about a sheet of paper and you're just poking a little hole in the middle of the paper. That's usually what happens in a hamstring tear, right? When there's a grade 2, it's usually 3 to 6 weeks. And then you get back on the floor, and then you can start thinking about playing in games. To me, this has to be a grade 2 because you're on 13 days from today was the last time that Mike Conley played in an NBA game. It was the closeout of the Memphis series, if memory serves, 13 days ago. That's 2 weeks. If he's out another week, the Jazz are going to have a real tough time winning this series. And again, I still think they win this series in 6 or 7 because they have the home court advantage. Now, I don't see them going to L.A. after what happened in the last 2 games and winning. So I think you win Game 5 and Game 7, and you move on. And now, by the way, you look forward to what would be the Phoenix Suns, who are just sitting back, chilling in the cut. I'm telling you right now, this Jazz team's going to have a very difficult time getting past the Suns in the Western Conference Finals. But that's for another week. What I'm telling you is, if things do not significantly change for the Utah Jazz, they will lose this series. And when I say significantly change, who are you as a basketball team? You're a team that thrives on moving the basketball and defending. And you haven't done any of that. You haven't done either of those things for the last 2 games.
Yeah.
And there is, by the way, and I know we had an uncomfortable disagreement in the pre-show meeting today about whether or not the Jazz are a good defensive team or whether they're defending. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you right now, it's time to stop talking about the Jazz as an elite defensive team because they are not that.
Well, and you've been saying that for, I don't know if you remember when you first started saying it, but it's been a long time.
I've been saying that since it really stood out more when Donovan got hurt.
In the Indiana game, in like, I think that was just after the All-Star break, I want to say, or just after the trade deadline, actually.
They started getting into these shootouts. And what was really telling after Donovan went out was that you completely changed as a team stylistically to give the ball to Bojan Bogdanovic and feature him offensively. And it helped you it should have helped you a little bit defensively because it would have slowed you down a little bit. But you naturally reflected back into a three-point shooting team with Jordan Clarkson shooting the ball all over the place. And all of a sudden, what you started seeing was a lot of games where it was 120, 130.
Yeah.
And a lot of games where the opponent was dominating in the mid-range, breaking the paint, shooting from the free throw line, and surprisingly so. And you start looking at some of the games, and you're like, okay, well, you beat Indiana 119-111. Well, but then when you lose and Donovan's out, you're losing to the Timberwolves, and you're not scoring 100 points.
Back to back.
But you're giving up 100 points. You lose 105-104 and 101-96. So you just have all these situations where you're just not playing who you are. You're beating Houston 124 to 116?
That's a lot.
To the Houston Rockets. These athletic young teams started breaking you down. And you're giving up 115, 120 points to the Houston Rockets.
Yeah, man.
And you're like, okay, well, Rudy's the defensive player of the year, and he's all NBA defense, and we're giving up 116 points to the Rockets.
Yeah.
You're not a good defensive team because you're not athletic enough.
Yeah.
And until you embrace that, and until you realize that you gave up all of these points. You gave up 120 on one of the best nights of Bojan Bogdanovic's career to a limping, unmotivated Denver Nuggets team.
Uninspired, to say the least.
And, by the way, you scored 127, they scored 120, and if Bojan doesn't go nuts and almost drop 50, you lose that game. And then the other game that really stands out to you is the Portland game, where they scored 105 and you only scored 98 against the worst defensive team in the NBA, who wound up firing their coach because you suck defensively.
A team that bro, yeah.
The Portland Trailblazers are the worst.
I mean, the Portland Trailblazers lost to the Nuggets, who then proceeded to get their ass beat by the Suns. I mean, that should put that into perspective.
The Phoenix loss.
Yeah.
Gave up 121 points.
Yeah.
Like, there are these games, and then you get into the postseason, and Donovan Mitchell doesn't play game one against Memphis. It was Memphis. You were never going to lose that series.
Yeah.
Well, but you did lose game one without Donovan Mitchell. And what that tells you is, well, what happened? Well, we couldn't defend the paint.
And Mike played in that game.
Yes, Mike Conley played in that game. You gave up 112 points to Memphis. And then, by the way, you went on to beat Memphis 141 to 129. You gave 129 to Memphis, man.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, this isn't new. The Utah Jazz lack athleticism, and they're not an elite defensive team.
So then, with that in mind, because I do agree with you, with that in mind, I mean, what do they need to do? I mean, how do you, if you're Quinn looking at this and you're like, man, Kawhi's eating us alive at the free throw line, and not taking free throws, but he's getting that space at the free throw line. You look at Morris is doing work on the block at 24 last night. And he shot well from three as well, but they're working the paint a lot, and you would think that wouldn't be a reality with Rudy Gobert on your team. But you start to look at what the Clippers are doing, and they're creating matchups where Kawhi is just eating Bojan alive, dude. He is torching Royce O'Neal.
But what's happening is that you are unable. I mean, look, I love Joe Ingles. He got beat badly last night.
Paul George turned him around like 3-4 times.
Yeah, the playoff P, Joe Ingles is in your head thing. Well, you can just leave that outside the front door because that's a steaming pile. Now, that's ancient history. Paul George is dominating Joe Ingles. And you look at Royce O'Neal, Kawhi Leonard. Guys like Kawhi Leonard, you're not going to guard them 1v1. But Royce O'Neal was a turnstile on that dunk. Watch the dunk from Kawhi Leonard and just focus on Royce O'Neal. Kawhi just goes right around him.
Yeah.
And it wasn't very difficult. And the paint was so open that he was able to explode from the middle of the paint and just ram it down Derek Favors' throat.
Well, and everyone's going to come in and be like, oh, well, if Rudy was on the floor, that would have never happened. Well, I got news for you. Rudy wasn't on the floor. That's why it happened, right?
That's right.
And Rudy, I feel like I say it every day on the show. I try not to turn the show into, hey, Rudy Gobert sucks, or Rudy's not showing up, or he's not doing his damn job.
If you don't want to do that,
a
tip that I would give you is to stop saying that Rudy Gobert sucks.
I'll say it today, because yesterday he sucked. Yesterday's performance was trash.
From me to you. If you don't want this to turn into Rudy Gobert sucks, you might want to stop saying Rudy Gobert sucks. The problem is Rudy Gobert is not very good right now. But this is my point. Think about Rudy Gobert's not the only one. Think about what changed from Salt Lake City to Los Angeles. Well, the building changed.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a home court advantage, right? Well, Game 6 it'll be because that place will be packed. California is open up fully today. So they'll have a full building for Game 6.
Mm-hmm.
But think about it in these terms. Your role players will define you win and losing on the road in the playoffs. Because Donovan Mitchell is going to shoot clearly in volume.
Clearly
in volume. Donovan Mitchell is going to shoot, right?
Yeah.
So who are your role players last night? Well, Joe Ingles was not a role player last night. Joe Ingles gave you a performance. And Donovan Mitchell hurt Joe Ingles last night. Donovan Mitchell hurt Bojan Bogdanovic last night because he wouldn't kick. Those two guys were shooting and performing well. Jordan Clarkson, a 0 last night. Just not
8
productive.
points.
Not productive at all, and played heavy minutes. I look at Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert complained to the officials more than he scored. And his defense is great. And I continue to make this point about Rudy Gobert. Rudy's defense is great. But what else is there? All right, he's not a leader. You can't tell me that whining and complaining and picking up technical fouls is leadership.
Is he an elite rebounder?
I don't know.
Can we definitively say that Rudy Gobert is an elite rebounder for them?
I don't know. And again, you should stop saying Rudy sucks. But here's the problem. You're not wrong about that. And we again have talked about many situations where, balls are up in the air and they're being tipped around and Rudy's arms are, as long as the Sears Tower and he's not, as long as the Stifle Tower and he's not pulling down those rebounds. And last night, here's the shocking part of last night. As badly as you got beat, right? And this, by score, you didn't get beat as badly as you did on whatever that was, Saturday night.
Mm-hmm.
You got beat badly last night. And if you look at the box out of this game, the thing that stands out to you is Rudy Gobert only had 8 rebounds. You didn't have a single Utah Jazz man in double figures for rebounds.
Wait, but the Clippers have a big man, right? Like they
they don't play small ever, do they? Because when you out rebound the Jazz 44 to 39, you're bigger than the Jazz, right? Oh no, that's right. It's a team mentality, and your best players have to do the little things like rebound. And when you look at the rebounding numbers for the Clippers, Batum was 7, Kawhi was 7, Morris was 6, Paul George with 9. Paul George out-rebounded Rudy Gobert. Oh, but playoff P, he sucks. Jingles is in his head.
Yeah, okay.
And then Paul George out-rebounded Rudy Gobert. You get 5 out of Zubats, 3 out of Beverly, 3 rebounds out of Patrick Beverly, who played 20 minutes. 3 rebounds.
I know that doesn't seem like a lot, but for Pat Bev, a guy his size, that's a lot.
Terrence Mann had 4 in 15 minutes. It's a mentality
See,
thing.
that's what I'm talking
job.
about. That's the guy you can't let just come off the bench and do that to you. The guy played 15 minutes, dude.
Terrence Mann looked scared to shoot threes, which is why he went 0 of 2 and 1 of 5 from the floor.
Mm-hmm.
But guess what? Terrence Mann was also a plus 15 because he's getting you an offensive rebound, 3D rebounds, 4 total, and he is doing what you need him to do, drawing 3 fouls. Your role players have to perform. Now, you're going to flip this script when you come back to Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
And I think you're going to get a much better performance out of George Niang, who frankly has kneecapped you in this series a little bit because he hasn't performed at all. But you would hope, and I say you would hope, that guys like Niang, Derek Favors, 15 minutes, 4 rebounds, 2 points. Now I'm going to have to get more than that out of
and getting
Derek
posterized.
Favors. You're going to have to get more out of that. Jordan Clarkson, 3 of 12. So for everybody who said, and again, look, I love awards. Oh, 6th man of the year. Holy fuck, this guy's unbelievable.
Here's what's going to happen, Tonto.
I probably shouldn't have dropped the F on, but I was in the moment. I'm a performance artist. What do you want? Method acting. Oh my God, Jordan Clarkson. The Manila Thriller.
The Rack Attack. Razzle Dazzle.
2 of 8 from 3. 3 of 12 from the floor. 8 points in 30 minutes. Your role players win and lose your games on the road in the playoffs, and the Jazz role players didn't come through.
All right.
Let's get some comments because I realize we're fully behind on that. Brylark says, "Hey boys, I'd like a huge apology from all those Jazz in 5 jokers." Thank you, Brylark.
Oh, first comment. It is so reliable. I can always rely on the comments, bro.
The Clippers are no joke and not going away. We will need Conley to get out of the series. Was surprised he didn't play last night.
Same.
Gabe Ledley says, "Hey-o, hitting an ad on the way in. Good sign for the Monty. Major bag alert."
Yeah,
Well,
there you go.
you know.
Alert, major bag alert.
James Knight says, "Give Ingles the ball more." Thank you.
Yeah, dude, guy was shooting the hell out of the ball last night, and Don just would not give it to him in more volume.
Jake, Donovan Mitchell's a superstar.
I'm Shiva, the god of death.
Yeah, we get it, Don. We get it, bro.
He's a superstar.
You're so fucked.
Giggity says, "Good morning, boys." Good morning, Giggity. I don't see any way the Jazz can beat the Suns in a series when watching how the two teams have been playing. The Suns...
Don't worry about the Suns yet. It's not time to worry about the Suns yet.
I'm telling you, athleticism is a real problem for the Jazz. Mm-hmm. And I don't mean to, well, I do mean to say, I am really smart and I'm good looking. This athleticism thing has been their handicap all year long, and everybody talked about, Bojan's wrist was broken in the bubble last year.
Remember all those people saying that Bogey played amazing defense?
Was that game one? Jazz in 5.
Was that game 1? Bogey is just having a resurgence on the defensive end.
Stop.
Please.
Brylark says, "If we get any blaming the officials talk on this stream, I'm going to lose you."
Oh, it's already happened. It's already happened. It's already happened.
I don't see any way the Jazz can beat the Suns. I would agree with Giggity on that. Right now, today, but you're going to see a different Jazz team tomorrow night at the Vivint. They're going to. I'm telling you, the crowd's going to bring them energy. The role players will play better. Kawhi Leonard, what's up with this knee thing? Because he answered the question pretty succinctly. It's good.
Next question.
Hey, Kawhi, how's your knee? It's good. Next question. Like, while texting on his phone, trying to do a media interview. Thanks for that, bud. Brandon Whiteside says, same medical staff involved in the Mitchell debacle, holding Conley out indefinitely in the playoffs.
I doubt that.
I doubt that, seriously.
This is different.
It's a hamstring injury. You cannot rush. You
what
cannot
are you
rush
say?
Back from a hamstring.
Listen,
injury. You can't.
Listen, we can criticize the medical staff, but what are you going to say if they bring him back too early and then he ends up tearing his hamstring fully and he's out for the rest of the year? I mean, then what are you going to say? Oh, hey, they rushed him back. Like they can't do that. Did I think he was going to play last night? Yeah, I absolutely did. I felt like they needed him. I feel like this is. Not to dramatize it, but frankly, this is a must-win game at home now. You've got to win this game because if you lose this game, now you're in real trouble. Now the Clippers have stolen home court advantage from you in this, in this series. And so, I would think that Mike would play. I really do. I can't believe for the life of me that you're playing a 3-game series against arguably the toughest opponent you've seen in quite some time.
No. You're for the first time this entire season.
Yeah, go ahead and say it.
You're not the best team.
You're in the fight of your life. You are.
This is the first time this season where you felt like the Jazz are in real danger of getting knocked out. This is the first time you've said that, and you came out of a Memphis series and
everything was kosher.
Everybody was like, "We're winning a championship. Who are you going to play in the finals?"
Yeah,
and you forgot that you got to beat the LA Clippers 4 times, not 2. And I think the thing that worries you about not having Mike Conley is Mike Conley's the only lifeline for Rudy Gobert. He's the only lifeline. That's the only way you're getting back into the series. Sivam Bauer 18.
Who the fuck is that guy?
Welcome to the show. Rudy was -1 ± on a 14-point loss. He needs to play 40 minutes. You can't play him 40 minutes against the Clippers. Because A, he will foul out. B, he's a liability offensively. The other problem that we don't talk about offensively is he tends to clog the paint. And so when you're on offense and you have a guy like Donovan Mitchell that shoots in volume, the Clippers are double teaming him so he doesn't shoot threes. And what happens is he either dribbles out of that and tries to get to the cup, but Rudy tends to be in the paint, and that brings an extra guy or two in there. And Donovan's not kicking, so the Clippers are sagging more. It just becomes a bottleneck when Rudy's in there. So you try to run high screen and roll, but then the issue is you have a bunch of guys collapsing because Don won't kick. So you're just not playing Jazz basketball. That's the thing that I hope Jazz fans recognize, that you're just not playing Jazz basketball. The ball's not rotating. The ball's not moving. You're playing hero ball. And you have 2 Jordan Clarksons, not 1. Because Donovan Mitchell is doing the exact same thing we always complain about Jordan Clarkson doing.
Mm-hmm.
So Rudy can't play 40 minutes. He will foul out.
Yeah.
There's just no doubt about it. Austin Parkins, good morning, Austin. Good to see you, my friend. Says, so how badly should management blow this team up after the Jazz lose this series? Well, they're not going to lose the series. And how badly will management blow the resulting draft picks? Because the series with LA is over. It's not over.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's over yet.
It's not.
I think after Game 5, then you can make a determination.
The Jazz are going to win the series. It's a 3-game series. 2 of them are in Salt Lake City. There's not a team in the NBA, and with all due respect to the Nets, there's not a team in the NBA that can come into Salt Lake City and expect to win.
Yeah, see, I'm not saying that consistently teams can come into Salt Lake, but if you said to me, hey, I need one team to win one game to win a series, because that's what the Clippers need to do. They need to win one game in Salt Lake to win this series, and then they obviously need to win Game 6, right? So assuming they win Game 6, which of these games are they going to win in at the Viv to win the series? That's what we're talking about here.
Yeah, and I don't see the Clippers winning in Salt Lake City.
Well, here's my question then. If you don't see the question that we have to answer is, what are the Jazz going to do to break the defense of the Clippers? Because what we've seen now consistently out of this Clippers defense is since they went back to LA is they're picking Donovan up way higher, almost at half court now. They're making him work to get into the offense, and they're not allowing the Jazz to get into that the Jazz to get into that ball rotation where the ball is just moving all around the arc and they're running around on defense. They're not allowing that to happen. And so my point is that, yes, the Jazz are going to be definitely way better at home. There's no doubt about that. They're going to shoot way better.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, this Clippers defense isn't going anywhere. And so my question just simply is, okay, let's assume that Mike does play. Does that mean that we're going to see the return of the Gobert pick and roll? Does that mean that we're going to see all these things change? I don't know. That's my biggest thing here.
But if we're going to talk about adjustments, and again, I'm not trying to shortchange this, but if we're going to talk about adjustments, I think the question you have to ask yourself is, well, what adjustments can Quinn Snyder make here? Because I think you're putting guys in position. Like I don't love Donovan Mitchell on the ball. I think, especially with a bum ankle, you've got to have Joe Ingles bring the ball up. The adjustment you can make is, hey, Mike Conley, we need you to play. And if Mike plays, okay, now we can run a much more dynamic set. We can do more things offensively. But if Mike Conley doesn't play, I think you've got to have Joe Ingles bring the ball up, which is unfortunate because I think Joe is not the scorer that he is when he has to bring the ball up, number one. Number two, I think that at some point, you have to find a role player who can score for you. And right now, and this is why I say, hey, it's all good and well that you have Oni and Forrest, but where's the magical depth that this team has talked about? And they're the deepest team in the NBA.
Yeah, my ass. Where are all the people who were criticizing me earlier in the week for saying that now? Remember when we had all those conversations about not adding depth at the trade deadline? Well, now we're starting to see that come back to you because you're trying to play through an injury. And Don's playing, in my opinion, is at 70%. I don't think he's anywhere near 100%.
He's missing lift.
Yeah.
You can see
lift, explosion, ability to get by guys. Like, he can't do it right now.
Yeah, and it's a huge problem. And I this is not an ankle injury that goes away on an off day. This is one of those injuries that's going to linger with you until the season's over and you're off your feet for weeks and you have months to recuperate. And this is why I say the other night when everybody's like, oh, well, he'd never leave the bench like LeBron did. Well, maybe you should have left the bench and gone back and gotten treatment as quickly as possible and get the swelling out of that ankle, and let's start the process as quickly as possible.
And by the way, the effects of that ankle injury clearly pick up as the game goes on. I mean, beginning of the game, he's knocking down shots, everything's great. You wear into the game, and now all of a sudden he's short on everything and can't get by guys.
Well, what you see is he's falling down a lot more. He's laying on the ground a lot more, and it's not great. Listen. there's not a lot of adjustments that Quinn Snyder can make at this point. Until Mike Conley can play, there's not a lot of adjustments that can be made. And this is why, and I don't mean to keep talking about things we've talked about, but this is why you don't rely on Mike Conley to win you a championship.
Yeah.
This is why when a guy has a history of injuries, what do you think is going to happen in the future? He's going to get injured. You can't rely on those guys. You can't rely on guys who you can't rely on. And Donovan Mitchell is a fantastic player. But you've got to find somebody else who can create for themselves. And this is the Jingles Bogdanovic issue. Those two guys cannot create for themselves. Jingles especially, he's not driving to the basket at all. He is a catch and shoot, three-point machine. That's all he does.
And when he tried to do it, he got blocked.
Yeah, so I think Bojan Bogdanovic has shown the ability to get into the paint and score, but he's just not getting the ball enough because Clarkson and Mitchell are not passing.
Yeah.
Giggity says, I'll say it. Rudy Gobert, comment dump. I'll say it. Judy Gobert sucks. Okay. Man, Suns fans are feasting.
Judy Gobert.
James Knight says Paul George will not play at the same level in SLC, guaranteed. Well, he did in game 2. I mean, he played pretty well.
Yeah.
Mitchell Harding says, I am concerned, yes. Do the Clips still need a win away? Yeah, that's the difference here. If this was LA's home court, you're in trouble.
I'm telling you, though.
But it's not.
I'm not. The Clippers are capable of winning one game in Salt Lake City.
They're capable,
not
but
two,
they
but
won't.
One.
They're capable, but they won't.
Well, we'll see.
We will. Listen, I love Joe to death, Brylark says, but he is a liability on defense. The Jazz should trade and upgrade at the position in the offseason. Royce could be another player looking at upgrading. Royce just does not give you enough. So let's run through this real quick. Rudy is a 0 offensively. You cannot count on him to score
10 points.
10 points. Right now you can't. Royce O'Neal, you can't count on him to score 10 points. Can he hit 3 threes in a game? Sure. Does he? No, he doesn't. You cannot count on him. So now you have Rudy, and now you have Royce. And really right now, Joe Ingles is hit or miss. And if you're not going to feed him the ball, he's going to be a miss. So you're really counting on Bojan Bogdanovic and Donovan Mitchell and Jordan Clarkson at times. But Jordan's been so hot and cold that you don't know what you're going to get night to night. Now, he's coming back to the Viv where the guy can close his eyes and bank in threes. I would expect a big performance out of Jordan Clarkson tomorrow night. I would. But what I'm telling you is you have a lot of guys that are limited offensively. And that's why you find yourself down 25 to the LA Clippers. Because every guy the Clippers run out there scores the basketball. And point to a guy that comes off their bench, whether it's Batum, Kennard, look at...
Terrence Mann is really the only guy who has struggled, and that's because he's young.
And he can do it.
And by the way, he relies on his athleticism, and I would remind you that he tried to get to the cup several times. Now, he didn't convert, he didn't score, but the fact that he's got the balls to go ahead and drive on Rudy Gobert should tell you something.
He made his free throw, he draws fouls, and he rebounds.
Yeah.
Zubac's obviously having an impact in the series, good and bad, by the way. The Jazz exploit him when he comes in. But you look at Morris, Kawhi, Paul George. Okay, those 3 guys, you're always going to get something from them.
Reggie
Jackson. This is a guy who quit basketball, didn't want to play anymore. Reggie Jackson. And now he's back with the Clippers, and he
lighting it up.
Shooting from 3. That little teardrop from the baseline last night was spectacular. Didn't even have a great game last night, but made a difference. All of their guys, if you give them the ball, they can put it in the hole. You can't say that about the Jazz. You can't.
The thing that, gives me more hope about the Clippers, at least giving them a chance. I'm not saying it's even a 70% that they go to the Viv and win a game, but what I'm saying is that what I saw last night was a team that was locked in defensively for most of the night. They had their lapses, and those are going to be more exaggerated in Salt Lake City. There's no doubt about that. But what I'm saying is that I don't care whose building you're playing in. When you've got a team of 5 guys who are locked in defensively and understand spacing and scheme defensively, that's going to be tough to break. You're going to have to make the 30-foot 3 to beat them defensively.
Well, and the hard part is if you're going to beat the Clippers, in LA, you're probably going to have to rely on them not shooting well.
Yeah.
Because when Marcus Morris shoots that way, they're going to be very difficult to beat. This Kawhi Leonard knee injury is a bigger deal than not. And for all the Clippers fans on Twitter last night saying it was a dirty play by Joe Ingles, it wasn't a dirty play.
No.
If Kawhi Leonard is not, I mean, most guys are 90% right now at the top of their health. I mean, it's a very difficult season. If he's not as healthy as he can be, the Clippers do not have a chance to win the series. And I think what you're going to see is a limited Kawhi Leonard. I think, we got the best Kawhi Leonard that we've seen so far last night. And I think you should have expected that. I think that the Clippers are getting close to their peak, and now Kawhi tweaks his knee and misses the last 5.5 minutes of that game. That's a light at the end of the tunnel. Corey, your last name is not Grocock. It's not. Grocock.
Who the fuck are you?
Grocock. Table of two. Grocock. First of all, if it is, I apologize.
Oh, my God, dude.
Chance.
That's amazing.
On pick and roll situations, should they give Rudy the ball in the post on switches? No.
No.
Because they even talked about it on the broadcast last night. And if you follow me on Twitter, The Monty Show, Monty, The Monty Show, you'll see that we were debating this. There were a bunch of national guys talking about if you force Rudy Gobert to dribble the ball,
you're in good shape.
You're in good shape. And what you miss in Mike Conley is that Mike Conley understands that. So you're not throwing Rudy the ball, at the top of the key like they were last night. He has nothing to do. There's no way he's scoring from there. There's not. And it's not good. Brandon Whiteside says Conley is a year away from retiring. They should have brought him back. He would have been fine. You mean last night?
I don't understand what you're saying there. You're going to have to retype that.
I mean, if the guy's got it, Conley's a year away from retiring. They should have brought him back. He would have been fine. Okay, well, there's two things that come to mind on that. Listen, if you don't have Mike Conley healthy, you're not beating the Suns. There's just no chance. And if you bring back Mike Conley early and he is out for the rest of the playoffs with a hamstring, you have no chance.
Yeah.
You can beat the Clippers without Mike Conley if you'll play Jazz basketball, which they were not the last two nights. So, and I don't, there's a lot of people who believe that the Clippers should have won in Utah the first two games. Shoulda, coulda, woulda.
I don't know that I can say that.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda.
My ass, dude.
They didn't. You can beat the Clippers without Mike Conley. In LA, probably not. At home, you can. Well, good news, you got 2 or 3 at home. So I would not rush him back. Jackson says Clippers haven't stolen home court advantage yet. No, they haven't.
And that's what I'm saying. This game 5 is huge because this to me feels like if the Clippers are going to beat the Jazz, if that's going to become a reality, it has to happen in game 5. Like you don't want any part of a do or die game 7 situation for the Jazz because I can guarantee you Mike Conley will be in that game. I have no doubt about that. So. I think that if you're the Clippers, you need to get it done in Game 5, and then you would need to finish the Jazz in Game 6 if you're going to win this series. But again, I tend to agree with you. If you're saying to me, hey, well, it's a 3-game series and 2 of the 3 are in Salt Lake City, well, yeah, it obviously favors the Jazz. So I just think it's an uphill battle.
James Knight says I don't understand why my man Jingles doesn't play more minutes with Donovan to relieve him of ball handling responsibilities. Because I think they know that Joe Ingles is not effective when he's point Jingles. Mm-hmm. You can look at the numbers. His shot is just not there.
And you can turn him over if Kawhi's guarding him. We've seen that a couple times.
I think you're starting to see that part of maturing is figuring out what you can and cannot do. And Donovan Mitchell... the numbers are cool. The record books are cool. But Donovan Mitchell's shooting too much. He is taking the ball and he's not passing it. And him bringing the ball up, I think they feel like that allows him more options. I'm telling you, if Donovan Mitchell's scoring 40 and 45 points, the Jazz are not The Jazz are going to have a tough time winning games. And I understand they did that at home, and he was great, and 45 or 45, and that's all neat. They're not going to win like that. This is a team that thrives and relies on team basketball. All right, let's see. Jeremy Bolton says, morning, gents. What's up? Driftwood says, if Conley's playing, the Jazz would be closing out the Clippers tomorrow night. Well, he's not, so they're not.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Of course, Bolton says, of course, the Clippers would decide to figure everything out and play to their potential against the Jazz. No Conley equals no wins. You guys, it's not figuring everything out.
Yeah.
It's playoff basketball on the road. The Clippers didn't figure anything out. The Clippers went home. Their role players performed. They shot well. Well, now you got to come back to Utah. And
they did what they're supposed to do. You won 2 games at home.
I don't understand the panic button out of Jazz fans. All of a sudden, it's no Conley, no win. What is exactly not gone to plan in this series? I mean, again, the home team has won all the games. That's exactly how you would think it would go. The Jazz are unathletic, so they're struggling to defend a very athletic Clipper team. Exactly how you would think it would go.
Yeah.
When the Jazz are at home, they shoot the ball exceptionally well, which is exactly how you would think it would go. They're going to win this series. They are going to probably win this series in 7 because I don't see them going to L.A. because their role players don't show up on the road. That's the NBA playoffs.
Yeah.
Right? I think they're going to win 5, and I think they're going to win 7. I think they'll probably lose 6 in L.A. They're going to win the series.
Yeah, I have some concern about Game 5. I have concern that the Clippers will find a way to win that game. I do.
Okay, if the Clippers win tomorrow night, okay, well then you can hit the panic button.
Yeah.
But my feeling is that the Jazz are just a much better team at home. Their young guys perform better. They shoot better. It's comfortability. It's all of that. Jordan Clarkson's a better player at Vivint than he is at Staples Center. He just is. And I think that's very normal in the NBA.
It is very normal, and I agree with you on that. The thing that's just in the back of my head with this whole situation with Game 5 is that this is where the Jazz, never having been here, comes back to potentially get them. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but there's some potential for it. And what I mean is Kawhi's been here, right? Paul George has been here, and they know, okay, this is the game we have to win. So with that in mind, we're going to, I would think that coming out in Game 5, they're going to be defensive-minded. They're going to say, okay, priority is the defensive end. We are going to stop them early in this game. We are going to play really physical with them. And then from there, once we survive that first 10-minute wave in the first quarter that the Jazz just love to roll out, once we get past that, then we can start really, talking about working our offense and getting into the flow on that side of the ball.
Yeah. I think the difference is the Clippers are a much better defensive team. I mean, this matchup has always favored the Clippers. I've told you that from the drop. That I told you, and I don't mean to keep saying I told you so. But I told you the Clippers were going to beat Dallas, right? When they were down 0-2, what did I tell you?
Yeah, and at that time, I had zero faith in this team. None.
The Clippers are going to beat Dallas, and they did. And the thing coming into the series, and it's true today, and we saw it last night again, the athletic ability of the Clippers defensively. The Jazz don't have a way to combat that. And we can sit here and talk about, oh, the Jazz are a great defensive team. They're not. Oh, Rudy, he's not. And again, when you have Bojan Bogdanovic and Joe Ingles shooting the lights out last night, how do you not get them the ball when you're playing on a bum ankle? And everybody's talking about how, oh, Kawhi, the ankle, or Donovan, the ankle's hurt. Okay, even more reason to kick the ball, right? The ankle is not the reason that the Jazz are losing the games in LA. They're not playing Jazz basketball. Let me ask you this. What would Donovan be doing if he was healthy? Because they wouldn't be winning. I'm just telling you right now, they didn't, if he scores 50 last night, they still lose that game. Because you have to get the other guys going.
Yeah.
You can't drive into 3 guys and think that's good basketball. So again, I know Donovan's your love affair, but you better be brutally honest with yourself and understand Devin Booker's not doing this. Chris Paul's not doing this. You look at the way a team like the Nets play basketball. Kevin Durant, I don't know that Kevin Durant can do this.
No.
Right?
No.
Because the best teams in the NBA rely on team basketball. Are the Suns dominating the Nuggets because Devin Booker's scoring 45 points? No, because their two superstars are scoring 30 points apiece, and Mikal Bridges is scoring, and DeAndre Ayton had the best series of his life.
And they're playing defense,
Jay
dude.
Crowder is physical, rebounding, shooting threes. Like, the Suns are playing team basketball at home and on the road. They're getting the same performance at home and on the road. The Jazz are not doing that. They're getting one team at home and another team on the road. And Donovan Mitchell, frankly, is being selfish.
Yeah.
And he's got to stop doing that. And I know that that's pissing people off. I'm sorry to say. But Donovan Mitchell's part of the problem with the Jazz right now. And you need to realize that. They're not a good defensive team. And Donovan Mitchell is part of the problem. That's where I'll leave it. Anthony McCoy, good morning to you. Welcome to the show. He says, at this point in the series, would you rather have Ty Lue or Quinn Snyder? Quinn Snyder every day, twice on Thursday through Monday. Ty Lue's made amazing adjustments. Body of work, I'll take Quinn Snyder. The problem is Quinn's a little handcuffed at this point by the roster.
Yeah.
Because you don't have anybody to turn to. There's not, and everybody's asking, well, where are the tweaks and adjustments? Adjustments win series. Well, I don't know what adjustments Quinn can make unless Mike Conley comes back.
The adjustment is shooting 50% from three and not 40%.
By the way, again, last night, you got beat when you shot elite level three-point basketball. The Jazz shot 40.5%. That's elite in NBA numbers. And they lost. And the Clippers shot 40.5% and won.
Mm-hmm.
You're getting beat at your own game. And there's not an adjustment that Quinn Snyder can make here. He can change rotations, change minutes.
It's not a rotation thing. It is a tactical thing. They have to. The Jazz. Let me put it this way. Maybe this will stick a little better. The Jazz no longer have the luxury of just saying, "Oh well, we'll just walk the ball down the floor. We'll shoot some threes, and we'll be up by 15, and we'll cruise." That's over. That's not.
Yeah.
That we're done with that now, right? That's regular season against Charlotte. We're not.
And
there
by the
anymore.
way, who's the best three-point shooting team in the playoffs?
Yeah, I don't think people believe you when you say this.
It's the LA Clippers. It's been the LA Clippers. The LA Clippers have been one of the best three-point shooting teams all year, and a lot of it's been Marcus Morris. Because PG and Kawhi are going to make theirs. Marcus Morris is an elite three-point shooter. And, hey, nobody wants to give him credit. Suns fans hate the Morris brothers. Cool.
As they should.
Yeah, they should. They're still POSs, but whatever. Marcus Morris can really shoot. And last night, I think it was 5 of 6 from 3. Stop. Raul Reyes says PG-13 playing well in the last 2 games is the reason why they won those games. We need Pandemic P to show up in the remaining games to win the series.
He still has proving to do. Let's not beat around the bush. I mean, he needs to show up in Salt Lake City.
James Knight says a case of 4X Gold says overrated PG won't get 20 in Salt Lake. That's a bet. He scored 20 in the first 2 games, right? I mean, and not for nothing. I mean, I don't mean to steal a man's money, but I'm not even stealing it. You're
Doesn't make you feel responsible.
I hate to break this to you, but he scored 20, 27, 31, and 31. I'll DM you my address.
We appreciate the charitable, contribution. I mean, that's nice of you, bro. Appreciate that.
He's scoring 20 in Salt Lake.
How the fuck else would you do this job?
Write it down. Interesting. Didn't Jake say all season long that threes don't win championships? They don't. Defense wins. Threes help you. Threes help you. But wait, Giggity, what the heck? Where's my credit for saying that the mid-range game is what's going to win you a championship? God damn. Casey says, you hit it, Monty. The Suns have 2 superstars where the Jazz have 1 and a couple of good players and an offensive black hole in Rudith. Well, wow.
I love this whole thing with Rudy, dude.
Now it's Rudith and Judy and...
Man, dude is in the doghouse.
How quickly the flame burns out. I agree with that. You do have a black hole. Look, I think the Jazz are still at this point. The Jazz are still going to win the series.
They're still in control. I mean, don't make no mistake about it. I mean, they still have home court advantage. They're still fine. But again, tomorrow, I guess that'd be now. When they play Game 5, I mean, that is Game 5 likely decides the Jazz season, honestly, because if you lose Game 5, now you got to go to LA and win a game, and you don't want to be in that position. You don't. And you got to handle business at home, and I think we can honestly say this is one of the first home games of the year. It may be the first home game of the year where you're like, damn, dude, like we got to win this game. It's not just a foregone conclusion that we're gonna win. Like we got to go out and like play our best basketball to win this game, and I think that's a rather new feeling for the team and the fan base, frankly.
Yeah, that's funny.
What?
Anyway, so Tyler will not publicly comment, and he says it's because of his job. And
do we know what his job is?
I don't, because he won't tell me, and he tries to send me like dissolving messages and
vanishing mode.
Yeah,
Okay,
look,
what did he say?
I'm not going to read his DMs anymore. I'm not doing it.
Oh, because you want to public.
Yeah,
comment publicly.
I'm not doing it anymore. If you want to comment, come into YouTube. Just go to themontyshow.com. It's our YouTube channel. Comment. The comments are public, right? They're live. They're comment. DMs annoy me, and I don't mind if we're having a conversation and you're DMing me, I don't care about that. But when we're doing a show and you're commenting on what we're talking about, get into the chat, man.
Somebody doesn't want accountability.
No, they don't. James Knight says, I want Jake to run us through the groundbreaking home court advantage concept. No. Brandon Butler says, if Conley can't be available his next contract, we need someone who will. I'm telling you.
Again.
You're overpaying Mike Conley. And I will say it until I'm blue in the face. You can't rely on Mike Conley because Mike Conley always misses games. Mm-hmm. It's what I said about Chris Paul. Water's wet and Chris Paul's hurt in the playoffs. Because he always is, right?
But somehow he's getting the job done and Mike's not.
And your best ability is your availability. And you're paying a guy in Mike Conley who you know is not going to be available for long stretches.
Yeah.
That's just a fact. Ruel Reyes says, if only Rudy could do some post moves, he could be lethal.
He'd be an MVP, bro.
Yeah, and if I weighed 150 pounds, I could dunk. I mean, those are all statements of fact. Jose Luis BG says, got here for Monty's good looks, stayed for the brains. Great show, guys. It's great to hear some honest analysis. Well,
If you guys ever want to kick it, we'll flow.
I mean, finally a lucid commenting on how attractive I am. And, I love
that show.
Yeah, I love that show. Jose Luis, you're always welcome here now.
I want it.
Driftwood says Niang is going to find out how quickly a ticket out of town can come. Okay, is it George Niang's fault or the Jazz fault?
I think it's mostly the Jazz fault. But
You're putting a guy like George Niang in a situation where you need him to produce.
Niang, the problem is Niang's a one-dimensional player. He does one thing.
The problem is he's George Niang.
Yeah, he does one thing.
George Niang.
So
That's
part of
it.
that is him too.
I don't know, man. I will forever say that in the story of the 2020-2021 Utah Jazz is roster construction.
Mm-hmm.
It's not built to win a championship. It's not. And you fall in love with this team when the three's going in, and that's all well and good. And they're going to beat the Clippers. And maybe they'll go on to win an NBA championship.
Boy, you better hope that they beat the Clippers, man.
I firmly believe they'll.
Dude.
Hey, and if they lose tomorrow, okay, we'll have a different conversation. They're not losing tomorrow.
Okay.
I just
We'll
don't.
see.
I mean, you're at home.
We'll see. I know it all adds up to a Jazz win, but I'm telling you, you're also sitting here saying that the Clippers are very athletic, which they are.
Uh-huh.
We're sitting here talking about how good they are defensively, which they are.
Uh-huh.
And I'm saying, hey, they've got one mission. You got to win Game 5 in Salt Lake City so you can come home and have a realistic chance of winning this series. You give an athlete of that variety a goal like that, a very simple black and white, hey, do or don't. They're going to do it.
Well, I don't know why it's got to be a race thing, black and white. I don't know what that has to do with it.
Okay.
But my point is, you're at home. The Jazz are sleeping on their own sheets. You've got your perfect pillow. You've got your girl there who is just, I mean, saddle up, sweetheart. Right? I mean, you are all night long.
Rock attack!
You got your girl. You know where the fridge is. You know where your favorite condiment, Magnum XL, is.
God bless.
You know where, you know what I mean? You know that the Monster Pure Zero Ultra is cold in the beverage drawer of your fridge.
I want more.
You know exactly where your favorite pair of socks are. You walk into your shoe closet. Like, you're at home.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to the facility. You're going to park in the same parking spot you always do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, your locker's there, your favorite aftershave.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to go home. You're going to make more babies.
This is a tasty burger.
She's going to make you steak. You're going to make more babies. Like, you're at home. It's comfortable. That was a relax.
I'm gonna get medieval on your ass.
The point is, at least at home, the sex is free, right?
What's an erection?
Stop it. The point is, you're at home. Everything's more comfortable.
Yeah, literally.
Soft and velvety.
You are what you are.
And you're going to win. And then you're going to go to L.A., and the sheets are going to be, like crunchy in the hotel.
Biggest kick in the balls you'll ever get.
You got to figure out how far to turn the water nozzle so that the water doesn't give you a third-degree burn in the shower. Don't you hate that about hotels? You're like, well, how hot is too hot? You're standing there with the boys hanging out. It's cold. You're trying to figure it out. At home, you know exactly where to turn the faucet. So
Well said.
Perfect.
Yeah.
You're using your favorite towel, right?
Yeah.
Donovan Mitchell's got his robe and it's embroidered with DM on it. Everything's good.
Wow.
Not on the road.
Wow.
Big difference. This conversation just got weird, Jeremy Bolton says.
Yes, it did.
I would agree. Niang has been put in a no-win situation by the fact that the Jazz did nothing at the deadline.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
He might have listened to this show occasionally, Casey. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Corey Growcock. G-R-O. That's his name. If Utah loses this series, how is their offseason going to look?
In my eyes, he's the greatest to ever do it.
Yeah.
Bro, that name is just... Oh, my God, dude. How?
I don't know. If your daughter brings home a guy and his name is Corey... Hey, Dad, this is Corey Growcock. He's taking me to prom. No, you're not. No.
Oh,
sorry,
dude.
Brian Lark says, why are you standing in the bathroom with the boys trying to figure out the shower temperature? I don't mean like your friends. I meant your...
Yeah.
Anyway.
All I have
Wow.
in this world is my balls and my word, and I don't break them for no one.
Oh, that's funny. Niang needs Conley in the lineup to be effective. No, what Niang needs is somebody to pass the ball. Right? Like, I mean,
it's a team sport.
Seriously. Like, he's open for three. Are we going to bid? No, I'm going to shoot. And it did not go in. Driftwood says, I'm not blaming Niang. I'm more or less using him as an example for all the role guys who aren't performing. None of them are. Jeremy Bolton says, if he comes to take my daughter, he won't be growing anything.
You're so fucked.
Thank you for being here, Corey. Austin Parkin, losers always say they'll do their best. Corey goes home and F's the prom queen. Wow.
You see, I'm a guy of simple taste.
Dude.
This show got serious.
Wow.
Very quickly. Okay, before we get out of here, can we talk about, okay, a lot of people are asking about my tattoo, so I will, Eric C. says he needs the George Clooney drop. We're effed. We're so effed.
Yeah, you are.
You're so fucked.
Exactly. Everybody asking about my tattoo. That's my tattoo. I can never get this right on the camera. It's a lion with some roses. It's going to be a full sleeve. There you go. That's the best I can do. Wraps around. It'll be colored on Saturday, so Monday morning on the show, you'll see it all colored
Yeah,
up.
you got to tweet some pictures out so people can see it.
Yeah, well, are you going to go with me this time, or are you going to wuss out? My wife's not going with me because she's going on a girls' trip, so are you...
Okay, now I'm obliged to go with you.
I'll buy lunch.
Okay, fine.
Don't I always buy lunch?
Yeah.
Jeremy Bolton says, LOL. Corey Grocock says, ha, ha, ha. Okay. Before we get out of here, are tattoos taboo?
No.
A lot of people ask me about my tattoo.
Well, that one, though, but you can really see that one.
Yeah, you can.
You know, like that one is way more.
And the line work is unbelievable. And it's 3 days old.
Okay, update on James Harden. He has been upgraded to doubtful for Game 5.
They're both out for Game 5, they said already.
Yeah. Well.
So, James Harden's getting closer. They're done.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, tattoos.
I can't stand Giannis.
Giannis.
Giannis ante your mama is, I just am not a fan. I'm not. Jose Luis BG says, is Corey now a staple of this show? Well, his last name's Grocock, so, I mean, Corey kind of gets to write his own ticket.
Whatever.
Right? My name's Corey Grocock. Check out my OnlyFans. Oh, my God. But if your last name... No, I'm not going to talk about Corey.
I wake up in the morning, I piss excellence.
Jeremy Bolton says, I'll go with you, Monty. I need my tat upgraded and added to. I mean, I'm with you on that. I can never remember the name of the tattoo shop that I went to. I know my guy's name, but I can never remember. Panther House Tattoo. Thank you.
Panther!
Michael Bergfalk is now forever my tattoo artist. He did my wife's arm 7 years ago. Michael's a great artist. Panther House Tattoo, Salt Lake City. If you don't want people asking about your tattoo, then don't put your tattoo in a place where everyone can see it. Oh, I don't care if people ask about it.
Not
at all. My point was, I'm surprised how many people have asked me about it.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
And all I was saying is that I think more people ask you about it because they can see it. Like the other ones you have, like you have one on your left wrist that most people aren't going to see. Yeah. You know, like that one is obviously
and on my
very
left
prominent.
foot and on my left leg and on my upper right arm. This one's amazing. It turned out way better than I thought. And once the shading's in there and the color, it's amazing.
It's going to be sweet.
Eric C says, I'm shocked you don't have Book's face tattooed on you yet. I do. I have a tramp stamp of, no, I don't. That's a joke. I do not.
Wet like on Book.
I don't. Brandon Butler says, Conley does not play Game 5. We should look for someone else. I don't think he'll play Game 5. I think if they lose Game 5, he'll play Game 6. I think if they win Game 5,
dude, what are you really want to play a 3-game series without Mike Conley? Seriously?
It's not want to.
Well,
it's not want to. I don't. Listen, if Mike Conley's not healthy, you're not beating the Suns. It's
right,
over.
But I don't think we should be looking past the Clippers. I honestly, I'm not in the same place you are about Game 5.
Yeah.
Every other game, I'd be like, they're going home. They're going to win this game straight up. But I don't like the fact for the Jazz that the Clippers are forcing them into low percentage 3-point shots. You noticed last night's a perfect example. You noticed last night that Ingles shooting the hell out of the ball, right? What do you also notice about the shots he's taking? They're wide open looks. What do you notice about the shots that the Clippers are able to contest? Niang in the corner 3 times, bricked them all, right? Don, 30 feet out, brick, right? So when the Clippers play their best brand of defense, the Jazz do not shoot the 3 at the normal rate. That's what really concerns me.
I'll be worried, dude. I'll be worried if the Clippers play this well tomorrow night in Salt Lake. And if Kawhi Leonard doesn't look any worse for wear with that knee, I'll be concerned.
Let me put it this way. This is all I'm asking. Don't be surprised if the Clippers show up. Don't be surprised.
No, I expect them to show up. I just don't think that you can play. I don't think you can play that freely on the road. Your hands sweat a little more, man. You just
definitely,
you know what I mean? I would expect guys like Jordan Clarkson, and this is why Jordan Clarkson's not a starter in this league, because he's really hot and cold. He'll be hot at the Viv. He'll be cold at Staples. Maybe I'm overconfident. I just feel like 2 out of 3 at Vivint Arena, the Jazz are going to win the series.
But they don't. But this is my point. Clippers don't need to win 2 out of 3. They don't need that.
No, they need to win tomorrow night.
They need to win one game.
If they win tomorrow night, be worried. Hit the panic button if they win tomorrow night. Corey's leaving. He says, I'm going to go to bed. It's almost 11:30 p.m. Oh, he's Australian. Well, that's why your name's Growcock. Why'd you just say
all
that?
that 4X, and all of a sudden, you're rocking a little... I'll just leave it at
Stiffy.
that. I'll leave it at that.
Corey also says, cheers for the laughs. Yeah, thanks for being here, Corey. Good to meet you, man. What did he say? Monty's tramp stamp is legit. Everyone should see it. Jeremy Bolton says, and Mike James, too. Well, Mike James is on my left inner thigh.
Well.
I'm just saying. Tyler says, Australia. Growcock makes so much more sense now. That's right. Driftwood says, I'd be a big fan of Giannis if he were on the Jazz, hence why you like Rudy. Or Judith, excuse me. Gavin Dale says we have to get to the Suns first, correct. You think fatigue is catching up to the Jazz? Mark Alexander Urel says, I don't think it's fatigue. I think it's injuries. I think...
Sorry, not to cut in. Woj just tweeting insane tweets. Harden's going to try and play in Game 5.
Really?
Yeah. Well, he's got to test his hamstring, obviously, first. But Woj just tweeted, Harden is expected to test his hamstring and shoot around today and has been determined to try and find a way to get cleared to play in Game 5. No guarantees on his status, but Harden's trying to play in Game 5.
Well, he worked out Saturday and was not able to get to a place where he could play on Sunday.
Yeah.
He really tried to play Sunday and could not. So I'm interested to see if he works out this morning on a game day with 2 days more of treatment and no games in a week, if that allows him to get back into it. If he plays, this is a different series.
Yeah.
This is a different series. You guys are amazing in the comments. Really appreciate everybody. He says, how is Pat Bev on an NBA roster? He's a hack. Well, he's also having a huge impact on this series.
Yeah.
I mean, that tiptoe down the baseline, the sideline last night, interceptions, jump balls, drawing fouls.
Annoying Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah. Eric C. says, it'll be too late to worry by then. Conley's got to play no matter what.
Yeah, I see. That's the approach that I like. I would prefer... and again, this is me saying this without truly knowing where Conley's at, right? So you got to take it with a grain of salt. But, assuming that they're just playing it safe with Conley and he could play if they really needed him to, assuming that's the situation, I would play him in Game 5. You've got to win this game. Don't give the Clippers hope.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, sorry. Got off on a tangent there.
Let's talk about returning to the office before we leave.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's a trend happening. So you know that a lot of people don't want to go back to work. In Vegas over the weekend, we were talking to an Uber driver who is saying that there is a massive labor shortage for Uber because drivers have refused to get off of unemployment and stimulus because they're making the same amount of money and they don't have to drive cars. So there's a lot of shortage at Uber. Well, what's happening is companies are now saying, hey, we need you to come into the office. And workers are like, nah, I'm good. I quit. I'm not coming to the office. I'm going to get another job or I'm going to stay home. And the issue is right now that there are so many jobs available because so many people are A, on unemployment, and B, they know as an applicant, they have leverage because they have experience and they're good profile. They profile well. So they're getting access to better jobs. So here's my question. If Yelp called you today and said, you either got to come back to the office or you're out.
Oh, I'd go back to the office.
Oh, you would?
Yeah. Yeah.
So do you miss working in an office?
Yeah, like I'd be the guy that goes back. If I had an option, I'd go back like once a week.
Once a week?
Just to have fun with it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would never go back. I love working at home. It gives me flexibility. It means I get to work out in the afternoon. It just gives me all this freedom that I have never had before.
Mm-hmm.
And I love it. And yet I'm still performing at a high level. Well, not this month, Jesus. But I'm still performing at a high level and I'm making really big dollars. Why would I go back to the office?
It's not a productivity thing for people like us, not to toot our own horn, but for people like us who perform at a high level, has nothing to do with productivity. It's just about the simple fun of it. That's really it.
Eric C says Jake missed slaying all the office kitty.
Yeah, I did.
There is a culture, and I'm not going to say what company. There is a culture of tapping that amongst your coworkers at certain companies. Jeremy Bolton says, I miss all the social interaction. I do miss that. I miss demoralizing people, and every time I would like close a deal, at Yelp, you close a deal, you go hit a gong.
Don't you know who I am?
Like, and just, you know, when you're in a performance-based position and
Right.
you're just kicking the crap out of people, and the look on their face when they see you get up to go hit that gong,
I'm Shiva, the god of death.
it's
Awesome.
Is it terrible to say I love breaking people's spirits in defeat? Like, I love crushing their souls.
Wait, are we talking
much.
about Kawhi last night
Too
or
much.
us? Like,
Too much. How about him flexing for half a second on favors? Wow.
yeah,
That wouldn't have happened if Rudy was in the game.
yeah. Well, he wasn't.
Well,
so
he
it
wasn't,
happened.
so it happened.
You're so fucked.
Right? Like, Giggity says, I'm getting a new job if my employer tells me I need to go back to my 1 hour traffic jam commute in Phoenix. Dude, I'm telling you, Vegas, Phoenix, and Salt Lake, the traffic has just exploded into just awfulness.
Yeah.
Like, traffic in Phoenix used to be bearable. Traffic in Vegas used to be non-existent. Traffic in Salt Lake was bearable. Now, I mean, especially with Bangor Highway in Salt Lake all tore up. I mean, I live in Daybreak. It's terrible. Like, just getting to Bangor or the 15 is brutal.
Well, I think
Brutal.
it's yeah. If you're doing it in prime driving hours, it's brutal.
Well, that's what you'd be doing if you go
mo-
back to the office, though.
Yeah, maybe. I don't think that. I don't think that getting in the mornings. I don't think it would be as bad. And I think with how late we'd be working technically. I don't know. I just yeah.
Eric C says the Clooney drop hits hard today.
Yeah, it
I have
does.
to go to work in LA in like 30. It's so bad.
You're so fucked.
Yeah, my 40-minute commute turned into a 1 hour and 10-minute commute in Utah. It's
See,
terrible.
now that's just not the
Yeah,
way to go here,
right?
Karen.
I mean, it's not good, Karen. Don't commute in prime time in Salt Lake. I'm telling you. Jose Luis BG says, I'm staying home for work. So is my wife. And we're actually moving to a smaller city as well. Miss the office interaction, but it's worth it.
It is worth it. It is
I agree.
100%. I'm not the person who's like, man, I just desperately need the office.
Well, but it's also because, like, our side hustles.
Yeah.
Like, all this stuff we do on the side, we couldn't do the podcast like this if we were working in the office.
Yeah.
We couldn't, like, you know, frankly, we would not have the growth in our side hustles that we've seen if we were working in the office.
Yeah, I
That
agree.
wouldn't happen because, you know, I mean, listen, as a top producer, you get a lot of rope. At home, you get a lot of rope, and then you take a bunch of extra rope. As long as you continue to produce, nobody's going to say anything to you.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's
That's
just...
how the world works.
if I go back to the office, I'll have no time to watch the Monty Show live. Ugh.
Well,
AK, I mean, quit your job. I mean, this show's way more important
Yeah,
than you
obviously-
making money and paying your mortgage.
yeah, I mean, you
know.
obviously need to be here when we give the Xbox S Series away, 1,500 subs. So,
Yeah.
you know.
Eric C says, but don't you get more done at the office?
No.
Do you go by Tim or Monty in the office? Both. A lot of people call me Tim.
The real G's go by Monty.
Yeah, I mean, most people who know me call me Monty, but you can whatever. I'm not the guy who's like, hey, my name's not Tim, it's Monty, you prick. Like, call me what you want. No, don't call me what you want. You either call me Mrs. Book or Monty. It's anyway. I lost my train of thought. No, I'm kidding. Most people call me Monty, but you can call me Tim. I don't care. I don't have an ego about that. I really don't. But don't you get more work done at the office? I actually don't. I've been more productive at home than I have ever been at the office.
When you're a top producer at a sales company and you're sitting in an office, you get 5 people a day who walk up to your desk and are like, hey, bro, can we get together sometime for coffee?
Hey, man, can we go talk about how awesome you are? I'm like, nah, man. Jeremy Bolton says, by the way, it was cool seeing you guys deliver the PS4 and the TV to the winners. Can't wait for the next prize. Yeah, we are, by the way, giving away an Xbox Series S when we get to 1,500 subscribers. We ship internationally. I know we have a lot of people, Australia, New Zealand, the Philippines. Surprisingly, and maybe I should be scared, but like we have a lot of watchers in Russia, and I don't really understand that because we don't market, frankly. So Russia, I don't know how you're finding us.
Relax.
Vladdy.
Take it easy.
Take it easy.
We're only here for one reason.
Yeah, to poison people. Anyway, the point. Wait, no. What I meant. That's not what I meant, Vlad.
You're welcome.
No. That bro just is like, I hate that guy. Go ahead and poison him. Like, how do you man? Like, would you get an endorphin rush out of that?
What? Just killing somebody because I could?
Yeah.
No.
No, I don't think so either. That's crazy. Jose Luis BG says Mexico, dude. Okay. Yeah, we ship to Mexico. Xbox S is mine. Book it, Jackson says. Why is Series S and not X? Not complaining, just curious. Well,
is there a Series X? I thought it was always Series S.
I don't know.
The one we have is a Series S. I can see it on the box.
Yeah, it's sitting right over
there.
Yeah. Mainly because it's all digital.
Yeah.
And that's what people want. People don't want like the physical game, like the disc in their hand. They want to download it.
Yeah.
And the Series S is just so fast.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But anyway, yeah. So go ahead and subscribe.
Mm-hmm.
Take a picture of your subscription. Put it on Twitter or Instagram. And tag The Monty Show, MONTY The Monty Show, and SLC Supercars for Jake. On Twitter or Instagram, just show us a picture that you're subscribed and you're entered to win. If you've already done that, you're entered to win already. You don't have to re-up. But we really appreciate you guys being here. Yeah, that's it. Until tomorrow, Jake. Say Jazz are still winning the series.
I can't say that. That's not going to work.
I'm telling you, Jazz are. I'm taking the Jazz to win the series in 7.
Yeah, I'm going Clippers in 6.
Wow, Jake's predicting a win for the Clips tomorrow night. Until tomorrow, say goodbye, Jake.
Goodbye, Jake.